in early 2000 when India and Pakistan came to blows over Kashmir. The United States directly intervened with our friends at the NNSA to make sure that they had the kind of non-proliferation and other things that we have in the United States to assure that their stockpile would be safe. But there's nothing we can do about the political instability in Pakistan. And ultimately, that is the way we safeguard these weapons, is to make sure that that country has political stability, and no one can assure, certainly in the short term, that it will. In December, I led another congressional delegation to Russia, where we have an enormously complicated relationship. As I said at the time, especially in the intervening time since Georgia, you can't go back to business as usual, but we have business to do. And this is a very illuminating hearing. We have a lot of different critical issues to work on. But what I want to specifically ask the members of the Commission is that the START Treaty, which expires at the end of 2009, has been enormously valuable in the verification process. And with the kind of relationship we have with Russia right now, which is not the best, but with the new administration that promises more engagement, what you recommend is something that I've recommended, which is that we extend START for the short term. What I'm really interested in understanding is, would you say that we just push START forward as START is? Should we work to do what we call sometimes a better START or a START plus? And where are those areas that you think we should concentrate on? And secondly, if you can briefly touch on the question of the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, which I have advocated for a long time that we ratify. And can you please just describe what you think the benefits of ratifying the CTBT would be? Thank you.
Just briefly, I think Ronald Reagan's mantra was trust but verify. And there has been a peculiarity in which we have been interested in less verification than the Russians. I regard that as odd from my history as an old Cold Warrior. So I would say, even though there's a lot of, or some of the elements of the verification system may have been outmoded and we may be able to move on, I would say keeping it more or less is better, and especially if one worries about scenarios in which our relationship with the Russians may be worse rather than better. With respect to going beyond START and SORT, I would think moving to some another significant step to some number like 1,500 or even 1,000 would make good sense in the next round of START Plus. And with respect to CTBT, I think the debate that got aired over that in the Senate needs to be re-examined, because the mechanisms for verifying that people are complying with the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty have improved significantly. And I think when people look at them, they would judge, as I believe, that there's a strong view of, this is not a Commission view, but a broad view, that CTBT would actually constrain other people a whole lot more than it does us, and therefore would be to our advantage. So,
on the way back from Pakistan, we stopped in Vienna to see Secretary General al-Baradei. And I think the issue of nuclear fuel banking, something that I've advocated for a long time, is now coming to fore, certainly between Russia and Iran. But clearly the IAEA is underfunded, has been chronically underfunded for a very, very long time. Chairman, can you talk briefly about what you think we can do to gain international consensus to increase their funding, give them a bigger mission and more teeth?
Well, first, the United States needs to be certain that it is meeting its obligations. I, at one time, was chair of the nuclear subcommittee of the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee, which has jurisdiction over things like the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and we hadn't paid our dues to the IAEA for several years. That has now been overcome, but one of the tendencies that the international community has gotten into is that rather than deal with the base budget of the IAEA, we do all these special assessments whenever there's a new problem. That's a very unstable financing for an organization that has to make long-term commitments. You've got to be able to
I'm sorry, but we are trying to adhere to the 5-minute rule. Could you supply the
So
rest for the record?
I would say that this committee would be well served to take a serious look at not only the amount of funding for the IAEA, but the way in which we've gone about funding and how the United States can lead the international community in strengthening both of those components.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair thanks Mrs. Tauscher.